All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through and we're just going to read everything. All the classes. Okay, so let's start with sword. So Whirling Blade. Deal 145% weapon damage to all foes within 2 meters. Whirling Blade causes 20% rend for 5 seconds. Ooh, puts a bleed. That's actually kind of nice. Tactical Strike. Whirling Blade reduces cooldown on the ability by 10% for each enemy hit. That's not too bad. If there's 10 people around me, does it get 100% reduced though? That's what I really want to know.
Karina, I cannot. I'm trying to do Daddy's hair.
Reverse Stab. A stab attack that deals 175% weapon damage. Reverse Stab now has grip, making the attack unstoppable. Tactician. On successful hit with Reverse Stab, all sword cooldowns are reduced by 12%. So that would be really nice. And then Leaping Strike. A 4-meter leap that deals 125% weapon damage. If you hit a foe below 30% health, you deal 50% more damage. And Cowardly Punishment. If Leaping Strike hits a target in the back, cause slow for 8 seconds. That's not bad. Leadership. While holding a sword, all group members' damage is increased by 10%. So what that means is everybody who's in my party, not necessarily everybody who I'm allied with, everybody who's in my party gets an increase of 10% to their damage. Let's see, more passives. Empowered Stab. Successful heavy attacks grant you 30% empower for 5 seconds. Empower increases your damage. Achilles Heel. The final attack of your light. Oh, so that's something that they changed. When you're left clicking, you have a light attack. When you're doing light attacks, you have a chain. So light attacks are going to deal, so like for example, your light attack chain might be like 4 hits, and then there will be a momentary second of cooldown to start the chain all over again. That way you can't just continuously hammer people. That's part of what made the Hatchet so broken, is you were able to break the animation cancel and constantly stagger people. And you can't do that anymore because they added it to a combo. Freeing Justice. Successfully hitting an enemy with a heavy attack causes you to lose all of your debuffs. That's super strong. When you block an attack, you gain 10% increased damage for 20 seconds. All right. Critical Precision. On critical, gain 20% haste for 5 seconds. That's real strong. What? Okay. Okay. She probably thought she was gonna get in trouble.
Oh, got it.
Sword's critical strike chance increased by 10%. Plus 33% movement while blocking. Deal 20% more damage to slow targets or foes. And while your health is full, deal 15% more damage. I feel like that's only going to apply to your opener attack, and then you're probably never going to use that again unless you have a badass healer. What are you looking for? Defender. Shield Rush. Rush forward. I'll be that badass healer. Hell yeah, you will. Shield Rush. Rush forward. Let me turn that down just a tiny bit. Rush forward, knocking back foes, dealing 125% weapon damage. On successful hit, enemies within 5 meters gain 10% weaken for 4 seconds. So that's a debuff. I'll be dead in 3 seconds. No, you won't. Not if I'm doing my job right. Intimidating Rush. On a successful hit, all enemies within 5 meters are 30% slowed for 4 seconds. Shield Bash. So Shield Bash was really strong. I I think if I remember correctly, I think at one point I went like double defender, and then I just ran leaping strike because it was so strong. Shield bash deals 50% weapon damage and stuns foes in front of you for 2 seconds. Taunt gem compatible, doesn't really matter for me. I'm not going to be throwing taunt gems in any of my shit. Because I don't think taunt gems work on players. I think they only work on... mobs. A shield bash causes greatly increased threat and 100% more damage. Shield bash stun duration increased by 1%. That's like eh. Final stand for 8 seconds. All damage is reduced by 30%. Final countdown. If your health is above 50%, damage reduction is increased by 20%. So you could reduce your damage by 50%. Gain 15% of your max health when final stand ends. Passives are shield provide 15% more armor. Reduced damage from all magic types by 10%. When you block with your shield, all shield cooldowns are reduced by 1%. Final blow, the third attack in your light attack deals 30% more damage and causes more threat. I guess that's really good for PvE. I feel like this is more like a PvE tree. Sturdy grip, stamina damage is reduced by 25% when blocking with a melee attack with a shield. Defensive training, when you block an attack, gain 10% fortify for 5 seconds. While holding a sword, your current max health is increased by 10%. And all incoming healing and regeneration is increased by 10%. That's not bad. What game is this? We're talking about New World, Amazon's upcoming MMORPG. Beta is July 20th at 9:30 a.m. PT. This is just a website that's got a whole bunch of information on it to take a look at the different weapons and builds and stuff like that that you can make, and essentially theory craft if you wanted to. Oh, I just realized that hold on. Let me move this like. Let's move it up here. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So the Rapier was not in the game when I played last, so I'm actually kind of interested in the Rapier. Tondo, slash so quickly that it extends the reach of your blade. This strike deals direct damage, but also applies a bleed that will deal 100% weapon damage over 12 seconds. This can stack up to 3 times, refreshing the previous application. Gross. So this is like the first weapon that's got like a huge focus on the dot, because I don't think any of the other ones have had this one before. Poke and run. Thirst for blood. When applying the first bleed stack to the opponent, the cooldown is reduced by 10%. If you hit any target, even on a blocked hit, this cooldown is reduced by 15%. And then proper spacing. Improve your damage from Tondo by 10% if you are 3.5 meters away from your target or more. Then you got Flurry. Enter a pose stance that unleashes a series of 5 quick thrust attacks, with each strike dealing more damage. Flurry can be dodged, canceled at any time. Overwhelm. Each hit of Flurry does 25% more damage, or does 25% more block damage. Wait, more block damage. Oh, it does 25% more damage, I guess, to targets that are blocking. Fleeting strikes. Each hit of Flurry reduces the cooldown of this ability by 7%, and it hits 5 times. So, what, 35% cooldown reduction? It's not bad. Each hit of Flurry extends the Rapier's bleed by 1 second. This will also apply to future stacked applications of the same bleed. So you want to run these two together. Like, realistically, you want to run those two together. Finalize. The last fit on Hurry will stagger the enemy. On Flurry will stagger the enemy. Excuse me. Flourish and Finish. Flourish performs an attack, knocking back enemies. Pressing the light attack at the end of Flourish will continue this ability by automatically performing Finish. Finish lunges forward, consuming all Rapier bleeds on any target hit, dealing 110% of their damage immediately. That's not bad. So you fucking stack, prolong the bleed, stack, prolong the bleed, stack, and then hit them with the Flourish and Finish to deal 110% damage all at once, depending on how many stacks you have. Gain Grit on both Flourish and Finish. Swagger, 20% damage when successfully hitting an enemy with Finish. Or plus 20 stamina when successfully hitting a target with Finish. Fuel, each tick of damage from Tondo's Bleed reduces this cooldown's ability by 5%. And then Bloody End, Finish deals 150% Rapier's bleed damage instead of only 110%. So it's only a 40% damage increase. I don't know how I feel about that. Refreshing Strikes, reduce all cooldowns by 1% on any hit. On Guard, deal 10% more damage when your target has greater than 50% health. Unearring, deal 5% more damage to a target with a Rapier bleed. Light Edge, increase damage from both middle swipe attacks and light attack chain by 8%. Heavy Puncture, any heavy attack on a bleeding enemy will extend their Rapier bleed by 2 seconds. This will also apply to future stacks of the same application. That actually seems really strong for PvP, which leads me to believe Grace is going to be the PvE section of the tree. Keep in mind the Rapier does Dex and Intelligence, so this could also be used as a secondary weapon for somebody who is running. This could also be used as a secondary weapon of somebody who's running mage stuff, like Fire Staff or the Ice Gauntlet. All right, so we got Evade. Perform a small, reliable sidestep in the current movement direction that cancels any current activity and provides momentary invulnerability. Light attacks made during Evade are performed exponentially fast. Gain 20 stamina immediately on use. Gain 20% movement speed for 3 seconds on use. What's she upset about? Evading forward gains 15% increased damage on your next light attack. Ends after the hit or 1 second. And then Crescendo, individual successful light attacks reduce the cooldown of this ability by 30% each. That's whatever. A Repose. Enter into a defensive stance for 1 second. If struck during this ability, counter the attacker, stunning them briefly for 1.5 seconds. You are briefly invulnerable upon a successful Repose. That'd be really good for PvE. If Repose is triggered successfully, all of your attacks become uninterruptible for 3 seconds. That's pretty good. Reduce the cooldown of other Rapier abilities by 20% when landing a Repose stun. And then lasting consequence, increase the stun duration from Repose by 2 seconds. Is this Fletch? I think this is Fletch. Leave the ground lunging forward for 10 meters in a stabbing motion, piercing through enemies. Quick Lunge, killing with this ability reduces its cooldown by 80%. This is definitely the PvE tree. After performing Fletch, your next critical strike attack will have its damage increased by 15% for 5 seconds. And then pressing light attack at any time will stop and perform a static continuation attack. Desperation, deal 10% more damage when your stamina is below 40%. 3 stamina on any hit. Deal 10% more damage when you're at full health. Critical strike, reduce all cooldowns by 5%. And 3% haste for 4 seconds on any hit can stack up to 5 times. So what would that be? 15% haste for 4 seconds? It's not too bad. Hatchet. So before the Berserker tree is what was broken. I'm not going to focus on what they... I mean, I'll point out a couple things that they changed, but I'm not going to focus on like what was removed, I guess. I'm not going to focus on like all the differences, is what I mean. So Berserk. Trigger Berserk mode that... triggers Berserk mode that increases all attack damage by 20% while active. Berserk mode will be active for 15 seconds. So that used to be active for... So that's always been active for 15 seconds, actually, now that I think about it. On the hunt, increase movement speed by 20% while in Berserk mode. Berserking refresh. When Berserk ends, heal yourself for 30% of your maximum health. Berserking purge. Trigger Berserk removes all crowd control effects such as stuns, slows, and roots from the player. And then uninterruptible Berserk. While in Berserk, your attacks are uninterruptible. During Berserk, you cannot be staggered. And then, actually, I lied. I'm going to explain exactly what they did to change some of this because it's kind of important to know what got changed here. So before, one of the passives that you used to be able to get is when you killed an enemy, you regained health, like a certain percentage of health. That is gone. Also, Defy Death was the thing that made Berserk super broken. When you receive lethal damage, you avoid death, reduce to 0 HP, and gain immortality for 4 seconds. So, this used to be tied to Berserk. Basically, when you receive the lethal damage, it's also got a 60-second cooldown. Basically, before, when you receive lethal damage, or when you popped Berserk, you were immune to dying for 15 seconds and you could heal. And then one of the other skills made it so you increased the duration of Berserk for every enemy you killed. Needless to say, those are gone. Those two that made it super broken. And then now Defy Death only lasts for 4 seconds. How far back? Is this good? Do I need to just like do this again? Is that better? Okay. I can go down lower if you need me to. You need me to? Okay. So Feral Rush, a sprinting melee that causes the player to leap forward, hitting twice. The first hit deals 100%, and the second hit deals 115% weapon damage. A dispatch if the ow. If that really hurt. If the target is below 30% health, Feral Rush does 20% more damage. Crippling strikes. If Feral Rush hits a target in the back, it causes a root, immobilizing the target for 2 seconds. And then Raging Torrent, performing 4 fast attacks. 4 fast attacks, each dealing 80% weapon damage. Aggressive approach, hitting the target with Raging Torrent grants haste, increasing movement speed by 20% for 6 seconds. And then Final Blow, pressing the light attack at the end of a Raging Torrent will deal the final attack, dealing 115% weapon damage. Man, they really need to reword some of these, or maybe I just can't read. I am dyslexic, so yeah, there's always that. Okay, so the passives. After 3 successful light attacks against the same target, gain Empower, granting 30% damage increase for 3 seconds or until the next attack. After a successful heavy attack, gain empowering, granting 30% increased damage for 3 seconds, or after 4 attacks. Desperate refresh. All cooldowns are reduced by 5% when hitting an enemy with an attack while your HP is below 30%. Fortifying strikes. Hitting the same target with 3 light attacks grants fortify, increasing damage absorption by 15% for 3 seconds. Enraging strikes. If the target is below 30% health, light and heavy attacks deal 20% more damage. Against all odds, increase base damage by 10% for every enemy within 5 meters of the player. Frenzied Purge. When hitting an enemy with... Nope. This is definitely how I know it's not just me. When hitting an enemy while your health is below 30%, remove all bleed, burn, and poison dot effects from the player.
Read that.
I mean, this might not be from like the actual game pulled. This might just been them like typing it out. So the way the game used to be before is you'd be able to, if you killed an enemy, it would extend Berserk's duration, and it would heal the person as well. It had lifesteal on it. So throwing, rending throw. Throw an axe dealing 110% weapon damage and applying rend, reducing the target's damage absorption by 10% for 4 seconds. So if you play a strength build, throwing axe is literally your only range that you can have that scales primarily off of strength. Rend increased to 20% and the duration extended to 6 seconds if further than 8 meters from the target. Opportunistic. Rend throwing deals an additional 20% damage if the target already has an active debuff. And then second wind, using rend throwing on a target with an active debuff reduces the ability's cooldown by 20%. Social distancing. Wow. Throw an axe forward and dodge backwards, dealing 120% weapon damage and slowing targets by 15% for 3 seconds. Player movement speed increased to 30% for 3 seconds if the ability hits a target with an active debuff. Stay back. Slow the movement speed effect increased by 25% for 4 seconds. Infected throw. Throw an axe that deals 130% weapon damage and triggers disease and weakens the target for 5 seconds. Disease reduces the target's health efficiency or healing efficiency by 30%, and weaken reduces the target's damage by 10%. Mortal power. Increase the duration of disease and weaken to 8 seconds if the target is below 30% health. An aerial transmission. Create a 3-meter disease AoE on impact that lingers for 3 seconds. You also got critical throw. Throwing an axes are now capable of triggering headshot or random critical hit. Every third successful thrown axe is a guaranteed crit. Oh, that's actually that sounds a little busted. Successful critical hits with light attacks or aimed throws regenerate 20 stamina. Just pick that up right away. Replaces block with an aimed throw that deals 90% weapon damage. Hold right mouse button to enter aimed stance. Each throw consumes 30 stamina. Refreshing throws, light attacks, and aim throws against targets with active debuff reduces all cooldowns by 5%. All attacks deal 15% additional damage to targets with an active debuff. Adrenaline rush, dodging within 2 seconds of triggering an ability consumes 25% less stamina. Root an ally. What is she upset about? Light attacks and aim throws regenerate 20 stamina when hitting targets with an active debuff. I think I read that already. And then persistent hindrance. Successful throwing axe hits extends all hatchet debuff durations by 2 seconds. So Warhammer is really good for war. This is your PvE AoE. What? I didn't hear you. This is more of your PvE or your crowd control PvP. And this is more like being the juggernaut and breaking down walls. This is Kool-Aid Man. Oh. Are you doing the green? Oh, I didn't know you were doing the green now as well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I said it. I lost her when I just like the one you told me to put away.
That sounds like our child. Okay, so we'll start with Juggernaut. Armor Breaker, a powerful swing that penetrates 35% of the target's armor and deals 120% weapon damage. Adds grit to the attack, making the attack unstoppable. Armor Breaker grants the target's rend, reducing damage absorption by 20% for 2 seconds. And then Opening Act increases Armor Breaker's damage by 15% against targets with full health. Mighty Gavel, an overhead leaping attack that crushes down enemies, dealing 120% weapon damage. On targets under 30% HP, increased damage done by the Mighty Gavel attack by 20%. Increase stamina damage done by Mighty Gavel by 25%. After a successful Mighty Gavel attack, gain haste, increasing the player's movement speed excuse me, by 30% for 3 seconds. Sorry, the hair dye is like hinging my nose. Just for all, press basic attack during Mighty Gavel to add a second attack that deals %% weapon damage. So I'm guessing they don't have that. Wrecking Ball, strike the ground around the target with a hammer, dealing 100% weapon damage and flattening the enemy. On a successful hit, player obtains Fortify, granting 20% resistances for 4 seconds. All enemies near the target hit with Wrecking Ball will be pushed back by 2 meters. So for passives, we have the Epitome of Bonk. So is this the Horny Bonk? No horny. Bonk. Increased armor penetration by 10% for all Warhammer standard attacks. We got Hammer Time. Gain empowerment. Gain empowerment on heavy attack, increasing attack damage by 10% for 2 seconds. Hardened Steel adds grit to Warhammer heavy attacks. Grit is added stagger resistance that stops attacks from being interrupted. All Warhammer abilities apply exhaust, slowing the target's stamina regeneration by 10% for 3 seconds. Contemption on targets under 30% HP, increased damage done with heavy attacks by 15%. Cooldowns are reduced by 7% when using heavy attacks. Power Through the Pain, for 1 second after taking damage, deal 20% extra damage. I wonder if there's like a passive cooldown on that, or else that could be really busted. Crowd Crusher. Clear Out, a wide swing that knocks enemies back 4 meters, creating distance. Deals 110% weapon damage. Power Cleaner, hitting a target with Clear Out grants Fortify, providing a 10% defense bonus for 4 seconds to all friendlies within 6 meters. Clean and refresh. Clear out's cooldown is reduced by 5% per enemy hit with the ability. Swing away. Using clear out on a target. Warhammer seems fun. I used it. I don't know if you saw the war. I used the Warhammer during war. I used the Warhammer and the Sword and the Shield. Using clear out on a target grants haste, increasing movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. Good. I don't know why I asked that when I can literally feel this side on my ear. What color's that gonna be? Oh, I'm just giving. Shockwave.
You literally had forgotten what
No.
I was doing.
No, I remember. Shockwave. Slam the hammer on the ground, causing a 3-meter radius AoE earthquake that deals 90% weapon damage and applies a stun. Applies a stun to all impacted targets for 1.75 seconds. The trauma from the attack causes weaken, decreases the damage dealt to attacks by 10%. And then Meteoric Crater, it expands the effective shockwave to a 4-meter radius. It literally only gains 1 meter. That seems useless. So Path of Destiny by far was my favorite skill to use on the Warhammer. A powerful ground strike that erupts a linear wave of energy in front of the player, dealing 125% weapon damage to all targets in its path. Path of Destiny now staggers all targets in its path. Simulated reduction. The abilities cooldown reduced by 5% for each enemy hit. This was by far my absolute favorite thing. So what I would do is I would fucking hit people with this, and then I would slam them with shockwave. I would do that every fucking time. Acceleration reduces Warhammer cooldowns by 7% when using light attacks against a target with an active debuff. Reduce stamina consumption by -30% when blocking melee attacks. Reduce damage taken by 10% while sprinting. Plus 50% damage against targets that are affected by Warhammer debuffs. Prevailing Spirit is gain 35% of damage dealt as health when you use a crowd control ability. So that's a new one that didn't exist before. Yeah, okay, I did read Shockwave. Increase the physical and elemental armor by 5% for every enemy within 5 meters of the players. After hitting a target with an active debuff, obtain haste, increasing your movement speed by 10% for 2 seconds. And then Resurgence. After 2 light attacks with the Warhammer, debuff durations on all players are reduced by 25% and can only be triggered once every 5 seconds. So this is something that I hope they change, but I haven't seen anything in the patch notes about it being changed. And if it's not changed in the beta, I almost fully expect for it to be changed at full launch. So the one thing I don't agree with that New World is doing is how they are doing, how they're handling their, what do you want to call it? It's how they're handling their armor. Sorry, I couldn't think of the fucking word. How they're handling their armor. So, last I read, if you wear heavy armor, you basically lose your ability to dodge. Your dodge is like a little like sidestep. You don't get like a full dodge roll. But you have the most resistance to physical damage as well as magical damage. Leather armor or medium armor is the in the middle. Like it has the second highest it has the second highest what do you want to call it? The second highest melee and magic resistance. And it gets like a roll. And then light armor has the furthest dodge, but it also has the weakest defense for both melee and magic. I hope that's something that changes. Typically in MMOs, your lightest armor has high magic resistance, low physical resistance. Your medium armor has like your in the middle, and then your heavy armor has the high physical and then the low magic resistance. That was not the case last time I looked at it, so we shall see. We already read a lot of the Great Axe, so we'll read the Mauler side. Maelstrom, a fast spinning attack that pulls targets closer to you and deals 115% weapon damage. Extend the reach of Maelstrom's pull by 50%. Consume all projectiles while Maelstrom is active. Oh, that's kind of cool. I wonder if that includes like fireballs. Maelstrom does not does an extra spin attack, pulling foes towards it, dealing 115% weapon damage. Whirlwind, spinning attack, dealing 50% weapon damage to all nearby foes. If you hit a foe, you gain another spin to a maximum of 4 spins. You can move while spinning. The attack cannot crit. Whirlwind's maximum number of rotations is increased to 7 from 4. Whirlwind's movement speed is increased by 50%. If you have more than 3 foes around you, it deals 30% more damage. Gravity Well, you throw your axe to create a vortex that pulls all foes to the center of it for 3 seconds. It ends with a damage burst, dealing 110% weapon damage, and the range is 10 meters. Increases the burst damage by 10% for each foe caught in the vortex. And then Unyielding, ow. Was that a bobby pin? That explains it. Unyielding. Are we good? No, we're not. No, I can feel it on the side of my face right after I asked. Hold on. I need a drink. This is a lot of talking. Allies gain 20% fortify while standing in your well. Fortify reduces the damage taken. And then Mauler's Fury, Great Axe increase. Oh wait, did I read that on the hammer? Yeah, I did. Okay, never mind. Ignore me, chat. I just wasn't sure. Mauler's Fury, Great Axe increased damage by 5% for 3 seconds with a maximum of 10 stacks. So you could get an additional 50% damage. This is like the PvE tree, like I was saying. If you get hit while holding a Great Axe and are below 50% life, you gain 40%, or you gain 40 stamina. Heavy pull, heavy attacks with Great Axe pull foes closer to you. Heavy attacks with Great Axe gain grit, making them unstoppable. After you pull, after you cause a pull, your foe is held still 10% longer. When you block an attack with a Great Axe, you gain 5% damage for 5 seconds, a max of 3, so you get up to 15% increased damage. While holding a Great Axe, gain 10% armor when 3 or more foes are within 4 meters. And then Center of Attention, while holding a Great Axe, gain 10% damage with 3 or more foes within 4 meters. Spear. So Spear is primary dex, secondary strength. This is really good for people who want to go with like the bow, in my opinion. Or, I mean, also the musket too. So Zoner. So we'll start here. Javelin. Throw your spear, dealing 125% weapon damage and staggering on hit. Targets are knocked down on hit. Headshots reduce the cooldown by 50%, and you gain plus 2.5% damage per meter traveled with a maximum of 100% increased weapon damage. Then you get Sweep. Sweep the target's legs, dealing 75% weapon damage and knocking them down. Grit is now active during the attack, so it cannot be interrupted. And then the Coup de Grace. Press basic attack at the end of sweep to follow up with a powerful downward stab that deals 125% weapon damage. Cyclone, a spin attack that deals 100% weapon damage, pushes targets back 3 meters, and applies 50% slow for 3 seconds. Invigorating combo, restore 25 stamina per hit. That's not bad, actually. Strong Momentum. Grit is now active during the attack, making your attack unstoppable. Deadly Reach. Plus 10% crit chance on attacks against targets that are 3+ meters away. Dodging backwards consumes 20% less stamina and 2% or 2 seconds after a successful hits. Plus 25% damage against knockdown targets. That would be really good for fucking sweep. Defensive stance. Gain fortify after successful heavy attacks, increasing damage absorption by 15% for 2 seconds. Plus 10% damage on consecutive heavy attacks against a single target. Restore 20 stamina on crit hits and 30% stamina regen when your stamina is below 50%. Then you got Skewer on the Impale side. Rush forward and skewer your target, dealing 125% weapon damage. Applies bleed, which is 10% of the weapon damage every 1 second for 10 seconds. So you'll do 100% of weapon damage every 10 seconds. 20% plus damage against target that have full health. Excuse me. Follow through. Gain empower crits. Increased damage by 20% for 10 seconds. And then deep wound bleed duration is increased to 15 seconds. So you could do 150% weapon damage with a successful skewer. Perforate, 3 quick piercing strikes that each deal 70% weapon damage and apply rend, reducing that target's damage absorption by 5% for 10 seconds. Rupturing strikes, rend increased to 10% per strike against what? Hold on. Are we done? Hell yeah, brother. All right, cool. I can sit up now. My butt. Oh. Chat. My butt. It hurts. Impactful strikes. Target is staggered if you successfully land all 3 hits. Vault kick. Use your spear to vault forward and kick a target, dealing 75% damage. Applies a stun for 1.5 seconds. Okay. From sitting back right. Right, yeah. My butt hurts. From sitting up correctly, right? It's from sitting up correctly, right? Relentless blows. Gain in power after successful hits on a target below 50% health. Increase damage by 20% for 5 seconds. And continuous motion. Cooldowns for other spear abilities are reduced by 30% upon a successful hit. Wow, that's actually kind of nice. Refreshing jabs. All spear cooldowns are reduced by 10% on the second hit of the light attack chain. Plus 50% damage against targets with less than 30% health. Aggressive maneuvers. The first successful hit with an ability within 2 seconds of dodging reduces the spear's cooldowns by 20%. Wow, you could just like do this, dodge, and then hit, and you would fucking like 50% cooldown. That's not bad. I mean, now I know it's not like exactly 50% because like it would be 30% of 100 and then 20% of 70%, so it doesn't exactly end up breaking down that way, but y'all know what I mean. Plus 50% crit chance against targets with bleed. Oh shit. Plus 25% damage while stamina is full. That's actually really nice. Okay, sorry. I keep forgetting about these skills. Somebody yell at me next time I forget one. Plus 5% critical chance on light attacks. The last hit of the light attack chain applies 30% slow for 3 seconds to targets below 30% health. 20% damage against targets with active grit. Wow, you do more damage versus people who can't be stopped in their attacks. Oof. Critical hits extend the duration of the spear debuffs by 2 seconds, and then plus 15% damage per debuff on target. Bow. So, like, realistically, if this was me, right, I would probably run, like, spear bow, and I would probably run, let's see. I run, like, let's see. Actually, man, I wouldn't even take that realistically. Maybe that one instead. Realistically, like, I'm probably gonna pull something like this. That's what I would run. Like, if I was running with a bow as my second, or with my first weapon. So, bow, you got evade shot, leap back by 5 meters, shoot an arrow, dealing 125% weapon damage. Evasive knockback. Evade shots cause knockback of 2 meters. And then evade shot grants you 5 seconds of 33% haste. So, just more movement. Rain of arrows, shoot a barrage of arrows. Shoot a barrage of arrows 7 meters wide that deal 150% weapon damage. Rain of arrows causes bleed, dealing 85% weapon damage over 12 seconds with a maximum of 3 stacks. Rain of arrow causes 30% slow for 12 seconds. Poison shot, shoot a poison arrow. Shoot a poison arrow that on hit or land creates a cloud of poison 3 meters wide that lasts 10 seconds. Foes entering the cloud are poisoned, dealing 10% weapon damage for 20 seconds. Poison shot now deals 12% weapon damage per second for 20 seconds. So it only gains 2% more damage. If you directly hit a target, the shot deals 200% more damage. Oh, that's not so bad. If you directly hit a target. Catch me if you can. If surrounded by 3 or more foes within 3 meters, you gain 33% haste. After you dodge, deal 20% more damage for 5 seconds. Hitting a foe. Jeez, I'm not going to be able to get through all these tonight. I might. We'll see. Hitting a foe below 50% reduces bow ability recharge by 5%. Hunter Insight. Hitting a foe with the debuff grants 5% stamina. Archer Speed. Gain 20% haste for 5 seconds when you swap to the bow. Battle Precision. Debuff duration lasts 20% longer. Impale. If you hit a foe with 100% health, cause a 30% slow. Well, I gotta send this to Grim. Where is he? How did I go back? What? There we go. Fuck. Sorry, I messed something up on my screen. Juan sent me a message. Juan say. Okay. Sorry, I had to send that one to Grim because we were talking about this the other day. So, Impale. After you dodge, gain 20% haste for 5 seconds. Hitting a foe with the debuff grants 5 stamina. Gain 20% haste for 5 seconds when you swap to your bow. Deal 10% more damage to foes suffering from a debuff. Debuff duration lasts 20% longer. Then leg shots cause 50% slow for 4 seconds. Yes. Hunter, you got penetrating shot. Shoot an arrow, dealing 150% weapon damage, passes through targets, and continues for 100 meters. Increase the damage by 10% for each hit, a max of 50% increased damage. Penetrating shot now deals 20% more damage to targets more than 20 meters away. Deal 20% more damage to foes that are at least 10 meters away. Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant to go to. Splintering shot. Shoot an arrow out 10 meters that splits into 3 arrows, dealing 50% weapon damage. Splits into 5 arrows. Reduces the cooldown per shot by 10%. That seems good for PvE, in my opinion. Rapid shot. Shoot 3 consecutive arrows. The first 2 dealing 100% weapon damage, and the last shot causes a knockback dealing 125% weapon damage. Rapid accuracy. If all 3 arrows hit the same target, rapid shot's cooldown is reduced by 50%. The third shot from rapid shot deals 25% extra damage. And then concussion. When you land a headshot, you deal 20% more damage. They removed the trap. So there used to be a bear trap. And what you used to be able to do is you'd throw that bear trap down, and if people were running towards you and didn't see it, they could step in it and get stuck in it for, I think it was like 2 seconds, and you could just fucking free reign shots on them. Oh, wait, no. Hold on, wait. That actually might be... Never mind, that's under Musket. Ignore me. Okay. Heavy attacks, arrows fly faster and deal 30% damage. 30% more damage. Receive 20% less damage while aiming. Heavy attacks deal 20% damage to foes with 100% health. Increase arrow distance before start of gravity by 100%. Bow shots critical chance is increased by 10%. If your target is below 50% health, deal 20% more damage. If you haven't damaged a foe in the last 10 seconds, deal 20% extra damage. And when you land a headshot, you heal yourself for 10% of the damage done. That's not bad. On to Musket. Bubs, we're getting ready to get to the fire and the healing. Well, we already read the healing stuff, so I'll probably skip that, but we'll do a fire and all of the ice staff, or all of the ice gauntlet here as soon as I get done with this one. Sharpshooter. Power shot. Overload the musket with gunpowder, causing the next shot to deal 150% damage. It does not stack or combine with other overloaded shots. When you hit with the power shot, gain in power, causing the attacks to deal an additional 10% for 5 seconds. Plus 10% additional damage to targets with full health. Power shot headshots reduce power shots cooldown by 15%. I'm guessing you have infinite bullets, right? Yeah. I think so. I'm not going to lie. I don't remember if there are musket balls. There are arrows. I don't remember if you have to make musket balls.
You do.
You do?
Yeah, there was iron, steel.
There you go. You have to make them. So it's whatever you're carrying on you. But for example, sharpshooter stance, it lets you fire sharpshooter stance lets you fire
Also,
5 shots.
real
Rip,
quick.
I mean, it would be OP if you had infinite shots, realistically. But Sharpshooter, for example, like I said, it lets you increase the number of shots fired to 5 before you exit. It only consumes 1 bullet, if I remember correctly. Unless they fix that and that was just a bug, also possible.
What about to say?
Okay.
It
What,
was
Manny?
supposed to use. It was supposed to use 1 bullet to enter the stance and everything, and that was the only one it would take away. But you're also right, like whether or not that was just a bug or not.
Yeah, I don't know for sure if it was a bug, so.
But no, what I was gonna tell you, fucking I was gonna send you a link to the build that I had for how do you call it, the for my tanking and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
And somebody already has it built,
Cool.
like exactly like how I was gonna build it.
Okay, so we got Powder Bone. Overload the musket with powder, causing the next shot to deal 120% weapon damage and cause burn status. That deals 20% weapon damage per second for 9 seconds. It does not stack or combine with other overloaded shots. Backdraft, the musket shot deals 12% additional damage while the target is on fire. And if powder burn hits a headshot, it extends the burn duration to 13 seconds. And then Sharpshooter stance, player enters an aim stance to enhance shooting performance. Shots deal 105% weapon damage, while in stance, rotation angle is limited to 180 degrees. Mobility is reduced to 0. Accuracy is increased by 10%, and the reload time is reduced by 75%. You will exit the mode after 3 shots. This takes it from 3 shots to 5 shots. And then if 3 consecutive shots hit the same target, it reduces all other musket cooldowns by 25%. Landing headshots with... So, muskets were super strong in the beta. Crew, you heard us talking about him earlier. He was the crafter. When he was, like, level 15, he took a tier 2 weapon and one-shot a level, like, a 35 plus with it. So... That's also probably why it's really good that they don't have unlimited bullets. So the game works in tiers. So you have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. There's probably higher than that, but tier 5 is all we had access to originally. But when you craft, because he was a crafter, when you craft, you can get essentially pluses to those tiers, right? So for example, if he had a Mastercraft tier 2, that was the equivalent of a what was that? That was the equivalent of a tier 5, right?
Base 5, yeah.
Yeah, so that was like the equivalent of a base 5. So for example, a level 20 with fully kitted out tier 2 gear can hold their own versus somebody who's in base T5 gear. That way lower levels aren't super fucked versus the higher levels when it comes to like wartime or grinding. So landing 3 headshots within 10 seconds will grant instant reload. Increase the musket damage by 15% if aimed down sight for more than 3 seconds. Steamrolling new players. So the game dies in a few months. Yeah, hopefully that's not too big of a problem. Because like I said, when we did our war, we probably had more people under level 30 than we had above level 30. We also had 5 to 8 people that were just AFK because they were trying to make us lose. And the other team had 50 fucking members, and we got the last cap to 90% before we ran out of time. So I'm hoping that the way they did war kind of changed a little bit, but we won't know until the beta, obviously, till the first war we go into. I probably won't watch any streams, so that's why they made new characters and everything. just to make you no. So okay, so here's how war works. Say I'm Covenant, Syndicate is purple, Marauders are green, okay? Covenant is yellow. So say yellow's at war with purple. Green can sign up on either purple side or yellow side if they want to. Ultimately, whoever's going to war is able to make the roster. Well, we didn't have enough people, so it autofilled the greens. It autofilled greens into our roster, and those people legit AFK'd because they didn't like us and they wanted to see us lose. Hopefully you can kick players from the war and add new players. As far as I know, you cannot. As far as I know,
It's one of those you're stuck with what you got. type of
yeah.
deal.
So like if people leave in the middle of war, then you're like screwed. But you can put who you want in what squad as the leader of the war party. You can do that yourself. We just didn't have enough people, so I went ahead and just let them stay in there. Even if they weren't there, we still would have been down 8 people anyway. Okay, action penalty
That
while
was at work at
moving
the time.
and aiming is removed. Removes damage fall off from standard musket shots on targets that are more than 50 meters away. Increase headshot and critical hit damage to targets further. The further the target is away from the player for a max of 30% up to 125 meters. Does not forgo damage fall off. Increase. I need to stand up. My knees are fucking killing me. Oh, all right. Enjoy this, chat. I hope you guys enjoy this greatly. Oh, dude, being able to stand up like this and be able to rotate my thing is actually really nice, not gonna lie. Oh, dude, I can do it with that one too. Hell yeah. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have a rising dust though, so I can't just bring stuff up. Let's see. Empowering headshot. Upon a successful headshot, gain empower for all musket shots. Are increased by 10% for 5 seconds. Standard attack headshots reduce all musket ability cooldowns by 10%. I think we already read that one. While aiming, successful hits with a musket grant a stackable 2.5% damage increase. This effect ends when the player stops aiming down sight for more than 5 seconds.
Okay.
Or more than 5 seconds passes in between
No, no
spots
está.
with a maximum of 10 stacks. And then we already read this one, right? No, we didn't. Fuck. Okay. Sniper adds an optional 3x zoom view for all musket shots. Use mouse wheel up and down to zoom in and out. So that's up to a 3x zoom. That doesn't mean that it is 3 times. It doesn't mean you go from 1 to 3. If I remember correctly, you got 1, 1.52, 2.53. So, all right. So Trapper, throw a trap that lasts for 20 seconds when triggered. It causes the target to be rooted, immobilizing them for 3 seconds. You can imagine how strong that would be. Some people would throw down traps and then pop sniper. And then when somebody ran like head on at them, not paying attention, they'd step in that trap and then they would just bust all the sniper shots into the dude's head, thus realistically killing most people. Traps apply rend, so bleeding, if I remember correctly. Rend to the target, increasing trap damage to trap targets by 20%. Regen 50% of weapon damage done as health when dealing damage to trap targets, and then you're able to have 2 traps active at once. Stopping power. Overload the musket with gunpowder, causing the next shot to deal 115% damage or weapon damage, staggering targets and knocking them back 3 meters. It does not stack with other overloaded shots. Targets hit with stopping power are exhausted, reducing stamina regeneration speed by 10% for 8 seconds. And then targets hit with stopping power are slowed by 10% for 8 seconds. Sticky bomb, a bomb that can be thrown at sort of a range, sticks to anything it makes contact with. Detonation will occur 5 seconds after the impact, dealing 150% weapon damage to all targets within 3 meters. This was really good for defenders on when we did war. So they would have their dudes with their muskets who had sticky bombs standing up on the wall, throwing sticky bombs down on us while we were trying to get through the wall. Sticky bomb grants the player 40 stamina when damage is done with the explosion. Direct hits with sticky bomb cause the target to be slowed by 20% for 5 seconds. And then compounded adrenaline. If the target is hit by 2 of the trapper abilities within 4-second period, reduce all cooldowns by 20%. Back it up. Walking / strafing movement speed increased by 30% when there's an enemy within 8 meters of the player. 15% increased weapon damage to targets below 30% health. Increases stamina damage to blocking enemies using shields by 200% and dealing 10% of armor penetration to targets that aren't blocking with the shield. So, when you block and an enemy hits you, your stamina bar goes down. Once you run out of stamina, your block breaks. So, quote unquote breaks, like you can't block for till you get stamina. After a dodge, gain haste, increasing your movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. Can you do like a perfect block or a parry? So there are no parries in the game as far as I know. I kind of wish there was, because I think that would bring more skill into PvP. But as far as I know, perfect blocks and parries are not a thing. That doesn't mean that they haven't been added and I missed it. So okay. Attacking a target with an active debuff restores 20 stamina. Dodging reloads the musket, can only trigger once every 2 seconds. Deal 15% extra damage to targets with an active debuff. All right. Fire staff first or ice gauntlet first? You pick, Bubs. Ice gauntlet first? All right. All right, we'll start with Tempest. I know I read a lot of Tempest, but I didn't read all of Tempest. I only read what I would take, so I'm just going to go ahead and read the whole thing, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so ice spikes. It creates a trail of spikes that start from the player and go in a straight line for 8 meters. The path ends with a mighty spike that will cause large damage and pushback. Pressing left mouse button before reaching the end of the path will cause mighty spike to spawn early. Refreshing spikes. The cooldown for this ability is decreased by 10% if the enemy is hit by major spike. It doesn't matter. The way that's worded, it doesn't sound like it matters if you hit 1 enemy or you hit 20 enemies. It's only going to get reduced by 10%. We didn't get to play with Ice Gauntlet either. Ice Gauntlet did not exist in the game when the preview was out. When preview was out, we only got to play bow, musket, hatchet, sword and shield, warhammer, fire staff, life staff. Yeah, that's it. Had to make sure that was it. Increased damage by 10% adds a stagger to the path of the spikes. So all of the little spikes that will go from you on out, all of that will have its damage increased by 10%, and they will stagger enemies. So you won't have to pop your ice spike, your mighty spike early. Make sure. Ice shards fire from the spikes in a wider area. Each shard will have 6 meter range and hit for 75% of the mighty spikes damage. You should upload this to YouTube, as a lot of people would find this helpful. Yeah, I'll go through and clip it after this, and then we can upload it. Unfortunately, it's kind of like me doing a lot of talking over myself. So, and then you know what? I'll go ahead and read. We'll do that. I'll go ahead and read Life Staff last, though, since we did fully cover that one already. It was just way earlier, so. Ice Storm, a ranged attack that damages and slows enemies within 5 meter radius of the frosted area. 25% slow, 20 meter range, and a 5-second duration. Weakening Gust. Incoming damage is increased by 10% for 3 seconds to enemies in Ice Storm if they are below 50% health. Ice Storm mana cost is decreased by 80% at full mana. So this is going to be the skill that you would probably open up with if you really cared about mana preservation. Let's see. It's what, 25 mana? What's 80% of 25? Like 7 mana-ish? It's like it's a weird half number, I want to say, but you guys didn't come here for math.
So what happened?
What's 80% of 25?
19 point something.
19. Is it really? I thought it was lower than that.
Nah.
Oh no, it removes. 90%. Sorry, no, Manny. It's reduced by 80%. So like, sorry, I guess what's 20% of 25 is what I meant.
What's 20% of 25? Yeah, like 7, 8-ish.
That's my guess. Yeah. Punishing Storm increases the damage by 10% for each enemy in the storm. That doesn't have a cap number in it like everything else does. So I'm wondering if they will include that in the text later. Keep in mind, we are just using a website that was built. I don't know exactly how accurate all the information is. Obviously, things are subject to change because stuff's not allowed to come out of alpha. I'm assuming all of this is completely based off of the expeditions. Okay, let's see here. Wind Chill. So this is one we didn't talk about earlier. Attack that blasts a focus beam of freezing wind forward that will push back any enemy in its area, causing damage. Wind Chill will last for 2 seconds and have a range of 5 meters and can be directed by the facing of the player, and the player is able to move during this. So what that sounds like is you're going to be able to cast this spell. You're going to be able to run. Well, maybe not run. You probably won't be able to sprint. It's probably going to be more like walking or a slowed movement, like if you're blocking. And whatever direction you're looking for the next 2 seconds, this spell will go. It increases the duration of Wind Chill by 1 second. In my opinion, that doesn't really... You go from 2 seconds to 3 seconds, I suppose, maybe for PvE, but I probably wouldn't take that personally. Shatter applies Rend to a target, reducing the defense by 5%. Rend can be stacked over time while the opponent is being hit by Icewind Chill. A maximum of 5 stacks of Rend with a duration of 2 seconds. I guess, like, having Rend is really nice, but there's a lot of other stuff that applies Rend better, in my opinion. So, and then the very last thing, Ultimate Chill. Ice abilities, chill targets, increasing ice damage by 35% for 3 seconds. That's really nice. More damage is always nice. Critical Rejuvenation. Recover 5 mana after triggering a critical hit on a target. Or getting mana back is also always great. What I said, that was 5 mana. So increased damage of light and heavy attacks by 15% for targets farther than 15 meters. Like I said, for me, if I was going to run an Ice Gauntlet, I would be running it as utility for as my healer secondary. Not necessarily to do damage, but to be able to get around and run away and stuff. Okay, so increase critical damage of ice spells by 15% when you have full stamina. Hit with 3 consecutive light attacks grants 15 mana to the player. That's obviously really nice. Critical Frost. Increase critical chance if hitting an enemy in a frosted area or with frostbite by 20%. Obviously, if you're going to throw down Ice Storm, they're going to be in a frosted area. So that's just going to help you deal 20% more damage. Heavy Freeze. Heavy attacks will freeze a target if hit in Ice Storm or with frostbite for 1 second. Moving on to the builder tree, we got Ice Pylon. A placed ice pylon that fires ice projectiles at enemies within 20 meters range for 15 seconds or until killed. The ice pylon creates a 1 meter frost radius in the area that enables frost powers. Greater Pylon increases the damage of the ice pylon by 10 seconds for targets that are slowed. Ice Pylon regeneration. Ice Pylon regenerates to full health after 5 seconds after the last damage taken. So if it doesn't take damage for 5 seconds, it gets full healed. Dodging with full stamina increases the fire rate of the pylon for 3 seconds. Pylon refresh. A successful hit extends pylon's lifetime by 1 second. So again, I don't see anything that has a cap on it. So it sounds like you're just going to be able to stack that. I don't know if it's going to be infinitely or indefinitely. I also don't know if that means if the ice pylon lands a hit, if it's also going to go up, or if that's completely based on you. You landing hits. We'll find out. Ultimate Frost. Double ice pylon's health and extends ice pylon's frost radius to 5 meters. Standing in this area doubles quick frost and empowerment frost bonuses. So those are 2 passives we're going to go ahead and go over right now because they're mentioned here. So quick frost increases your speed by 10% in a frosted area. This doubles it, so that would be 20%. And the other one is empowered frost. You regain 3 mana for each spell cast while in a frosted area. Again, that gets doubled. So would gain 6 mana back, making some of these skills not very low cost, but a little bit lower cost. For example, if you had full mana and you cast Ice Storm, so say you're only spending 7 mana, but you're standing in a frosted zone, then that would give you 6 more mana. So essentially Ice Storm could cost you as low as like 1 to 3 mana on your first cast of it. Then we got Ice Shower. Summon a shower of ice that creates a frosted area approximately 1 meter by 5 meters. Freezing enemies in PvP seems so strong. We thought fire was weak in the preview, and then we got to see it at war, and oh man, did our opinion on fire staffs change after war. The thing is, I don't know if this applies to the Ice Gauntlet. I don't think so, actually. From the videos I watched, I don't think it does. In preview, fire staff had to like stand and wave the wand in the air in order, or wave the staff in the air to do damage. So they were stuck in one spot, which kind of sucked, but it was really good for war because they would just stand up on the wall and just fucking rain fire down on us. Okay, so enemies in inner ice shower will be stricken with a powerful frostbite. Frostbite blocks sprinting and dodging, slows speed by 50%, and will remain on the target for 1 second after exiting Ice Shower. Ice Shower has a lifetime of 4 seconds. Enduring Shower increases the duration to 6 seconds instead of 4. An ally, including yourself, will get a 25% speed boost for 2 seconds when you enter Ice Shower. Shower Slush increases the duration of frostbite after exiting Ice Shower from 1 second to 3 seconds. And then you have Entomb. This is the one that I would also run for if you're running a healer and you want to not die. This is why I would run it for the second as well. A player can entomb themselves in ice and become invulnerable and greatly increase mana regen. The ice tomb has a lifetime of 10 seconds and can be destroyed. Players have two options to cancel entomb. Exit by pressing right mouse button, or break out of the tomb by pressing left mouse button, causing damaging knockback for 20 mana. So you can cast this, keep yourself alive for 10 seconds. So if you're in the back line and you're getting mobbed on, you switch over to your Ice Gauntlet, you pop this, you'd be like, hey guys, I need help. There's a bunch of people on me. And then in my opinion, before they break it, or just before it expires, you should use that 20 mana and knock back everybody around you. Strengthening Tomb, increase your defense by 25% for 3 seconds after breaking out of Entomb. So now you're going to be a little bit more tanky as soon as you bust yourself out. And then Cleansing Tomb, all debuffs, cleanse all debuffs while being entombed. Obviously, that's going to be really good for multiple reasons, but this is why I was saying Ice Gauntlet is my secondary choice for anybody who wants to run a healing staff. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the other passives. Blocking Stamina. Blocking with Ice Gauntlet will convert mana into stamina on hit. 3 mana to 15 stamina. So I don't know if I would personally take that, but to each their own. Frozen Touch. Slow enemies by 25% for 2 seconds when they hit you with a melee attack while you have 100% health. That will also be super useful. Say you're healing in the back line and you notice a melee dude running up on you. Just switch over to that Ice Gauntlet. Try to stop him from getting to you. Like I said, personally, if it was me, I would probably take like Ice Pylon, Entomb, and then either Ice Storm, or you could go with Ice Shower. Anything to slow them down from getting to you. That's personally what I would just take. But that will help in the long run, I think, with a lot of healers, keeping them alive. Just remember, focus on stacking your focus versus intelligence. The Ice Gauntlet, if you're running a healer, is purely survivability when you're getting mauled on in the back. Reduce all active cooldowns for the ice abilities by 20% when you cast an ability in a frosted area. And casting an ice ability creates a hardened layer, granting 20% fortify for 2 seconds. All right. We're going to move on to Fire Staff. Whoops. All right, so you get your Fire Mage and your Pyromancer. I don't feel like I can be like, oh, this one is best for PvP and this one is best for PvE. Depending on how much they've changed, obviously. They were both really good in both cases, in my opinion. All right, so we got Pillar of Fire. A targeted spell that deals 120% weapon damage. A Pillar of Fire deals 40% more damage to foes at full health. And Arson's advantage, gain 10% of your max mana per enemy hit by Pillar of Fire. So obviously if you catch a whole bunch of enemies in there, you're going to get a bunch of your mana back, which is obviously really nice. We got Meteor Shower. It's a channeling spell. So they did leave it as a channeling spell, so you're not going to be able to move when you cast this. I don't know if they added a cancel to it. There was not a cancel to it in the preview, which a lot of people were very unhappy about. But it's a channeling spell that drops 32 meteors at your target, dealing 20% weapon damage for each hit. They did have very large AoEs from what I remember. Hits of Meteor Shower give you 1% of your maximum mana back, which is really nice because it does require 35 mana to cast this ability, and it is down for 18 seconds. Fiery Determination. While casting Meteor Shower, you are unstoppable. You cannot be interrupted. That's really nice. It was not like that before. It really kind of sucked. But also, if you're just getting wailed on, I guess that also sucks too, whether you're unstoppable or not. Especially since Spear does... excuse me. Especially since Spear can do increased damage to unstoppable targets. And then Judgment of Helios. Cause 25% more damage to hit. Cause 25% more meteors to hit during the entire channel. So it's just more hits. Fire will probably still be the strongest class in PvP. I don't know about that. And the only reason I say that is because in the second part of the June patch notes, there was nerfs for the fire staff. Fireball. Fire off a heavy fireball that deals 200% weapon damage on impact and leaves a 3-meter burning field that lasts for 6 seconds. The burning field deals 10% weapon damage each second. Scorched Earth, the fireball's burning field persists for 9 seconds. Direct hits with the fireball give you 10% of your max mana and reduces your fire staff cooldowns by 7%. Okay, so I would probably run Fire Mage and then the flamethrower of Pyromancer if I was probably going to run PvE. Just off of the changes that were made. Okay, so heavy attacks restore 5% of your max mana on hit. Heavy attacks reduce the fire staff's cooldowns by, it says negative 10% on hit. I think it just means it reduces fire staff cooldowns by 10% on hit. While above 50% mana, you gain 10% empowerment, so that will increase your damage while you're above 50% mana. When you get a critical hit with the fire staff, cause burning, dealing 3% weapon damage for each second for 6 seconds. If you haven't taken any damage in the last 3 seconds, you deal 10% increased damage. Your abilities gain an extra 15% chance to crit strike. Heavy attacks no longer consume mana. That's really nice. Obviously, not consuming mana is great. It's always great. Especially when you're a caster and you do that. Runes of Helios. After casting a spell, place a 2-meter rune on the ground, increasing your spell damage by 30% while standing in the rune. The rune lasts for 7 seconds. That's really nice. That's a lot of extra damage. All right, so we got Pyromancer. Flamethrower. Create a jet flame from the tip of the staff, dealing 25% weapon damage each second. Each hit catches enemies on fire, dealing 3% weapon damage for each second for 6 seconds. It costs 4 mana per second. Using clear casting is going to make people target you way more. Yeah. Fire's Reach. Increase the range of flamethrower by 50%. Man, I need to stop right clicking. Increase the base damage of flamethrower by 25%. So that would be 50% weapon damage. Flamethrower has no cooldown. No cooldown. I can't complain with no cooldown.
Hey, did you say something about me?
What?
Did you say something?
Did I say something?
Yeah.
Like to you?
Yeah.
No.
Because when you're like, Manny, stop right clicking.
No, I said, man, I need to stop right clicking.
Ah.
Okay, so we got I thought he said Manny too. Yeah, no. So Incinerate, cause a fiery explosion, dealing 125% weapon damage and knocking back all enemies 2 meters. Catches enemies on fire, dealing 3% weapon damage to sorry. Catches enemies on fire, dealing 3% weapon damage for 6 seconds. It's the same. I guess fire's always just going to do 3% weapon damage for 6 seconds because that's what the other one said too. Each hit of Incinerate causes an additional stack of burning. So is that going to be more damage? I guess that would be more damage per tick. Restore 30% of damage dealt by Incinerate. Cool. So you can heal yourself. That's really nice. Incinerate hits twice. Awesome. Burnout, dash forward, leaving a wall of fire behind you. Residual flames will catch enemies on fire, dealing 5% weapon damage each second for 13 seconds. So I was wrong. Apparently fire does whatever it wants. Fire staff cooldowns are reduced by 2% for each foe hit by burnout. Reheat. After 5 seconds without activating an ability, your mana regen is decreased by 500%. While holding a fire staff and below 50% max health, your damage is increased by 20%. You block a melee attack, you restore 5% of your mana. Burning lasts 20% longer. So what? Instead of a 6-second burn, you'd have an 8-second burn, which is pretty nice. I'm not even going to bother trying to do the math on the 13 fucking, on the 13-second one. I have no idea what 20% of 13 seconds would be. Plus 20% longer. Whenever a burn deals damage, gain 30% fortify for 20 seconds. Light attacks cause the enemy to catch fire, dealing 3% damage each second for 6 seconds. When you activate Fire Staff ability, gain 20% haste for 5 seconds. And Trial by Fire. When you are stuck, create a field of fire around you, dealing 5% weapon damage to all nearby enemies for within a 4-meter radius. Activates when struck in battle, lasts for 10 seconds. So that's really good to just have in general, because if a melee user comes up and stuns you, then you're just going to burst into fire and do fire damage for the next 10 seconds. It's like 15.5 seconds. Yeah. All right. Last but not least, we got the life staff. So we already talked about the life staff quite a bit, but I'm going to talk over it again because, like I said, we're going to post this to YouTube, I guess. Good thinking, bubs. This is going to be the worst YouTube video you guys have ever watched in your whole life. I really hope that it helped somebody somewhere. Divine Embrace. Heal a target with 150% weapon damage. Divine Embrace costs 25 mana. So it makes it, I don't know why they just didn't phrase that differently. So instead of costing 30 mana, it's going to cost 25 mana. If the target is below 50% health, heal one additional ally within 8 meters for the same amount. And then rebound. If the second target is also below 50% health, heal another ally within 8 meters of that ally. So that could be pretty strong for PvP. I'd still probably stick with the Protector Tree in my opinion. Sacred Ground. Create an area on the ground that lasts for 12 seconds and heals for 10% of the weapon damage for every second. Regenerate stamina and mana 100% faster while standing in Sacred Ground. While allies are in Sacred Ground, they are healed for 30% more healing. Splash of Light. You and all of your group members are healed by 50% weapon damage. If you heal a target below 50% health, gain 3% of your max mana. And Purify. Splash of Light removes all debuffs. Obviously, it's going to be really good to help keep people from being debuffed into oblivion. These are the most important nodes. If you're going to run healing, you better pick these 3 nodes up. At least this node. Or else you're not going to be an effective healer in my book. Life Staffs, light and heavy attack will no longer take mana. Light Staffs, heavy attack now removes all debuffs when hitting an ally. And light attacks now heal the target for 20% weapon damage when hitting an ally. So very minimum in my to me, these 2 are like mandatory on all healers personally. And then last but not least, you got your Divine Blessing. When you heal an ally, if their health is below 50%, you heal for 30% more. That's always nice. Okay, so to the passives, when you heal an ally with less than 50% health, life staff cooldowns are reduced by 10%. When you hit with a light attack, you reduce all of your cooldowns by 5%. When hit in battle, activate a healing aura for you and your nearby friends for 4 meters. Radius healing for 10% weapon damage for each second for 6 seconds with a 120-second cooldown. Heavy attacks give you increased healing by 10% for 10 seconds with a maximum of 3 stacks. So you could essentially heal for 30% increased healing. While holding a light staff, you increase the base health of all friendlies in your group by 10%. So that's going to be the people you're partied with, not the people who you're allied with. So if you're running with like a group of 20 people, but there's only 5 people in your party, those 5 people are the ones who get that's increased 10% health. Last but not least, Protector. Protector, I feel like is going to be really good for PvP, specifically because of Beacon, but we'll get to that here in a second. Orbit Protection. Shoot out a light projectile that grants 15% Fortify for 20 seconds. Heals an ally for 10% of weapon damage and deals 95% weapon damage when it hits an enemy. Calling a night left to score. Have a good night, Manny. See you later, bud. If Orb of Projection hit an ally, gain 10% in power for 20 seconds as well. If you successfully hit an ally, you gain Fortify. When this projectile hits, it affects all allies within a 3-meter radius. All that's really nice. Now, here's the one I personally like, Beacon. Shoot out a light projectile that deals 95% weapon damage to enemies. Attaches itself to the target and heals nearby allies for 20% of the weapon damage each second for 10 seconds. Beacon of light. The beacon's area effect is now 50% larger. So, did it even say what the range was? No, does it say? No, it doesn't. It just says nearby allies. I wonder what's going to be considered nearby. Like what, like 3 to 5 meters, you think maybe? I don't know, we'll see. Beacon lasts 5% longer. And when Beacon heals a target, it also applies 20% haste to that target. So, in my opinion, that's going to be super good for PvP. I could be wrong. We'll see, obviously. Depends on the range and all that. But Light Embrace. Target heals for 75% of weapon damage, plus 30% more damage for each buff on the target. When you heal a target with Light's Embrace, target receives 25 stamina. That'll be really good for your tanks, obviously. Anybody who's blocking. Actually, anybody who's just consuming stamina, but blocking. When you heal a target with Light's Embrace, gain 1% of your max mana for each buff your target has. And then last but not least, we got Magnify on here. When you heal with Light's Embrace, you extend the life staff buffs by 2%, or by 2 seconds, excuse me. Defensive Light, when you block a melee attack, you gain 5% of your max mana. I feel like that's going to be a good PvE thing. After dodge roll, your heals are 20% more effective for 5 seconds. Protector Strength, if you have a buff, heal for 10% more. When you get hit while below 50% health, gain haste for 20 seconds, or 20% for 5 seconds, excuse me. Buffs you grant last 20% longer, and increase mana regeneration for you and your group members by 3%. And that is everything that is in New World as far as like going in for the beta. This website is newworldfans.com. You go to the builds and then select new, and you can create your own. However the feel that you want to do it, or come and take a look at all these for yourself. Toxin TV, I stream, what would that be, like Monday through Friday usually, but for the beta, I'm going to be doing a 2-week straight stream. During that time, feel free to come in and try to win yourself a copy. We'll be giving away 3 to 5 copies. And that's twitch.tv/ToxinTV. There'll be a Discord link down below. We'll be playing on the Covenant faction on the US East servers for anybody that is interested. Catch you guys hopefully in the next video. I plan to make a lot more for New World. Hope you guys enjoyed.